What is up, guys, and welcome back once again to the Kerbal Space Program Career Mode Ebby Space Agency Journey. That's a mouthful. Try saying it 5 times when you try saying it 5 times fast, right? We have a good sort of report from last episode number 14, where we have now started constructing a orbital refinery around Minmus. It's still in progress, and we still have the ground infrastructure to make, but it is starting to progress onwards. So exciting times. But right now, to start off with, we are going to jump straight into the VAB, and we are designing ourselves with another sort of another 2.5 meter lander, and essentially what we're going to be doing is heading back to the Mun. We need a little bit more science to unlock a few more bits of technology, help us out a little bit, and as part of that, we're going to basically try and hit up a more unvisited body in this career mode. We've been kind of abusing the Minmus low gravity, how easy it is to get our science, so instead we are going to be going and trying to get some more research done from the surface of the Mun. So yeah, we strapped the Scuffer Dreams booster onto the bottom of quite a weird looking fairing in retrospect. I've kind of designed a rocket that looks a bit more like a rocket propelled grenade rather than something that we use to explore space with, but nevertheless, the launch goes fairly well. You see, with no real dramas on the takeoff, it handles fairly decently. You got Jeb, Tamble, and Tailed Kerman as the crew for this, and yeah, thankfully, like I said, no major dramas. The fairing I thought may have been a little bit too draggy, given how wide it was, but thankfully, no such dramas arose, and we could reach space fairly easily and without much sort of scuff, shall we say. We pop the hood then on the craft, and we set ourselves up with an encounter for the Mun. A lot less fuel required normally to reach the Mun, so it's nice and simple, nice small burn. And yeah, we then go ahead and fire the engine for the to deorbit the booster. But as a result, because of the backblast from that engine bell, we, for whatever reason, managed to just wedge the shroud in the engines of the Munlander, but thankfully, we do end up managing to sort of flick that off with a quick rotation of the craft, and well, we despite Werner's protests, I imagine, in mission control, about how you can't embed pieces of rocket into other pieces of rocket and still use them as intended, we go ahead and fire the engines up and set ourselves off towards the Mun. The booster obviously deorbits without further fanfare. We've seen that a few times now. We don't necessarily need to show it every single time. So instead, we focus on the mission to the Mun. And what we do is we don't actually circularize around the Mun this time. We're just basically going straight in without sort of, yeah, like I said, circularizing and then descending and keeping everything under control. Instead, we're just, we took quite a shallow collision course with the Mun, so we are still going to be having a lot of lateral movement. But yeah, we're basically going straight in for the landing. So it was pretty decent in terms of the approach. Nothing too crazy going on, other than the fact that obviously we're going suborbital, and yeah, like, it's I think we set it up. I think we got quite lucky that we were en route to a biome that we hadn't already explored already, so we didn't really need to, like, aim or change course too much. So all we did was basically just pointed retrograde and just waited until we needed to land, right? So we got this suicide burn countdown on the Kerbal Engineer to the right of the screen there. For anyone that doesn't know what a suicide burn is, essentially is literally burning the engines at the last possible second, so that in theory, when you touch the ground, your velocity should reach 0. We burn a little bit earlier than that, just to take a nice structured approach, so that we can at least aim a little bit for our landing zone. As you see, we're aiming for this crater here. You got a little bit of science as well from the transfer stage, hitting the side of the Mun. But from there, nice, calm, sedate landing. And, yeah, it's, we're getting alright at this. One problem we do seem to face, though, is the landing gear. Again, Kerbal, for whatever reason, it's not got the best in landing gear. The friction isn't great, and we do end up sort of sliding down. But we eventually, by playing around with the spring strength and stuff like that, we do bring it to a stop. And we're able to hop our crew out. We start with Tailed, jumping out and grabbing all the science experiments and such, before dropping all the data back into the command module, and yeah, we grab some science, basically, bring it back to Kerbin, take a quick wander around on the surface and grab a surface sample before jumping straight back in to the crew module. And Tamble gets the honor then this time of bringing back putting down the flag at the landing site before hopping in and taking off. Jeb didn't really fancy hopping out and walking on the surface of the Mun. He's been here before. He knows the general gist. Yeah, lots of grey, lots of rocks. And, yeah, no bars. So, Jeb decides he's going to jump back into the, stay within the module, the command module, and fly them on back. We had to shimmy the drivetrain out of the way there on descent, but, yeah, thankfully, no craziness on descent, and the crew touches down nice and simply, ready to be recovered. And then we're going to go ahead and utilize the science points to research some more aerodynamic aircraft parts, with the idea that now that we know how to fly an aircraft on Kerbin and we know how to yeet things away from Kerbin, the next logical step, right, guys, is to try and make yeet an aircraft away from Kerbin. So that is what we're doing here. We are taking our first tentative steps into the concept of space planes. You see here we are trying to design something that's a little bit more sleek, a little bit more able to handle very high speeds, such as orbital velocities. And yeah, we're using the Mark II spaceplane parts for that. It's not strictly an SSTO, as we do have those drop tanks on here. However, this isn't necessarily being used for any specific mission. We are purely designing this in a testing phase, and as such, we're basically giving ourselves a minimal room for error. Hence why we've got those drop tanks on there, to give us any extra fuel that we might need to fully reach orbit. You see us there just messing around with the landing gear, making sure that it is big enough and it does clear those drop tanks, and then just finally colouring the wings in, and making the final touches, making sure everything's balanced and all that good stuff. And applying all the final touches, such as ladders and things like that, before we then head to the runway. And I'm going to hand you over to Pass Me to see how that went. Go! Alright, let's see how this handles. Alright, gear up. Oh, its nose is down. Its nose is down aggressively, man. So yeah, we do have a little bit of a stability issue, and we do have to get quite a high speed before we can then rotate it back, before then obviously gaining a bit of altitude. And we do then stage these drop tanks once they run out of fuel for us. They don't necessarily survive the aggressive pitch-up maneuver they were inclined to do. That's not a design quirk. That was a genuine. Just that's what they did. They pitched up and ripped themselves apart. But from there, we were able to continue on with with the flight. You see, it's quite wobbly. It's not the most stable craft in existence, but once we get up to sort of higher altitudes, especially orbital altitudes, obviously it all settles down. And yeah, we consider this a fairly successful first flight from Kerbin into orbit from an aircraft, and from there we need to now figure out how well it behaves coming back down again. So we start the deorbit process. We take a nice shallow entry angle, basically seeing how far we can glide this thing as well. And just letting the aero forces do the braking for us. With the Firefly mod, re-entry heating coming in absolutely clutch there. Beautiful sunrise over Kerbin, and we actually aim this fairly well, so we're able to slow ourselves down quite nicely. We do pitch over, and I kind of pull quite a high G maneuver. We're about 5 Gs of pitching down there to get ourselves slowed down, but we do eventually do so when we go subsonic there with that nice flash of the sonic boom, because we are running time acceleration here, and then we managed to glide this thing in for a bit of a shallow approach. I genuinely thought we were about to crash into the ground a couple of points. We once again waste no tarmac whatsoever before touching down and deploying the drogue chutes to get ourselves slowed down in a nice controlled manner. Jeb and Bill then definitely can chalk this flight up to a successful test for this new craft, and I'm sure we're going to be utilizing it in the future. But yeah, that is our first sort of dip our toe in the water, shall we say, of some SSTO space plane shenanigans. Back over to the VAB then, we're now prepping the next arm of the Minmus refinery station to depart into orbit. We stitch on a space tug as well on top, just to make sure that we can direct it around, and then a small transfer stage before sticking once again the Scuff of Dreams booster onto the bottom, our workhorse booster. Because the payload is so light, we only need the 2 external boosters. But I'm going to hand you over now to the launch. So once again, boosters doing the job, nice smooth sort of ascent. I was a bit concerned with the size of the fairing and the length of the payload, that it was going to be a bit squiffy, but obviously, yeah, the fact that we're in orbit says otherwise, right? And then yeah, we go ahead, deorbit the booster. And cut back to the solar arm of the space station. Set ourselves up on a nice path up to Minmus altitude. Again, we've done this. This is routine. This isn't something new to us, so we're going to skip through the majority of it, but we get the burn done nice and easy. I thought, again, I'll be honest, I thought the payload was going to be a lot more unwieldy, considering it is just trussing and solar panels, but thankfully it's not particularly wobbly or anything like that. I think that because we've got the sort of framing on the arm is quite wide and triangular based, it is quite sturdy. Which is good, allows us to work with it quite nicely. And you see there, we set ourselves up with an approach to the space station that's currently under construction. We come nice and easy to a stop next to it, and we begin the docking process. We decouple that drivetrain stage first, just to reduce the weight, make the RCS more potent, and we start pointing towards, start pointing the docking port towards the station. The docking went fairly easily, fairly straightforward. Not really any dramas with controlling it. Yes, the RCS is lopsided, but because that payload is so light, it wasn't particularly bad, and we were able to keep the stage quite steady. And then yeah, it was just a case of pointing it, lining it all up, pointing it straight at the docking port we wanted, and then going forwards, which we do there. And yeah, a little bit off angle, but thankfully the magnetizing of the docking ports do the job for us, and we can start expanding those solar arms. as you see there, and start getting the power in to the station. The long-term aim for the station is actually to remain unmanned. It's completely autonomous. It does have the ability to hold crew should there be an emergency arise in the orbit of Minmus at any point, but as well as it obviously having some limited life support. But yeah, the plan is basically to keep it completely autonomous and have the crew for this whole infrastructure to sit in on the surface of Minmus on a surface base. But yeah, we head back then over to the mission control, and we are going to be setting ourselves up once again with another sort of multi-leg passenger mission. Again, it's a nice breakup of not always spending time in space and also focusing on our more terrestrial commitments. We started an airline, we got passengers lining up at the terminal. We should probably throw a flight on for them to go somewhere, right? So yeah, we get ourselves lined up with a few different destinations. We've got Kolar Island, Kerman Atoll, as well as I think we do have one more. But yeah, those are the flights that we're setting ourselves up for now. And because we do have plenty of Kerbals waiting for a flight, we do instead grab our K767, the crater in a box, and spool the engines up and begin our takeoff roll. So I think we had something daft like 30 to 40 Kerbals on board. I'd have to look back. I mean, yeah, I'd have to double check how many we have, but it's more than what can be handled on Scuff Airlines, right? So instead, we break the big boy out and take off. Because we were anticipating the roll to the right this thing does, we were able to sort of counteract that. So it was a nice, smooth takeoff. And again, we follow that same flight path that we did last time to Kolar Island, over the island airfield, loop around the mountain, and set ourselves up on a nice, calm approach into Kolar Island, which we pull off without a hitch. Nice, smooth landing. Nothing really went wrong. Nice passenger airline kind of feel, right? That's what we're going for. We're not amateur hour now. We've done enough of these that we should really have some sort of idea what we're doing. And we do the passenger exchange and take off once again, heading this time to Kerman Atoll. So we back off to the south and cruise our way on over. And as we get there, unfortunately, there was a bit of fog rolling in over the airfield as we come into land. So we figured we'd come in from the side where the fog isn't, to try and keep visibility as much as we could for the approach. And for a little bit of a tentative landing, because we cannot see the runway at this point in time. We know roughly where it is, and we know we're roughly on line with it, but we kind of had to react last second to where it was. So you see, we're not really lined up all that nicely, but we do still commit for the landing, bring ourselves in, and nice on the center line. A little bit of a rough landing. This is sped up footage, so it looked a bit rougher than what it was. No bounces or anything like that, but yeah, we then bring ourselves to a stop, wait for the fog to clear, and line up ready for takeoff, and off we go again into the skies, and we are on our way back home. So, the sun, as you see there, it is in the west, it is setting, and we get this beautiful sunset on approach to the KSC. But, by the time we did actually sort of approach on final in for landing, the sun had set, so it was completely pitch black. We ended up going around as well, because we couldn't really commit to the landing from that angle, and instead, we approached from the other side, and we do eventually touch down after a little bit of a palaver, but we managed to bring ourselves to a stop and taxi on back to the terminal. We did end up using most of the runway. We used the shorter runway just to cut down on the taxi time, but thankfully we are able to bring it to a stop. And that is the end of the flight, and also the end of the video, guys. Again, achieved a little bit. We've continued with the construction of the station, and we've also sort of continued on with our airline stuff and taken our first tentative steps in towards the world of space planes. But we'll have to see how they all develop in the next episode, guys. So once again, thank you all for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Goodbye.